As a lot of you guys know, a couple days ago, Clash Royale posted the trailer for the very first tower troop, the Cannoneer, coming to the game on January 1st. And now that we're getting closer to that date, we now have the bulk of the information. I'm going to be explaining it all in today's video. Information such as the Cannoneer's stats, how the interactions of it compare to the Princess Tower because they're both very different, and I'll be showing you guys some gameplay too so you can see firsthand some interaction differences, and then also I'll be explaining the new chests coming to the game, which are where you unlock these tower troops in. Alright, let's get into some of those stats now. So this is what the Cannoneer looks like, and if you're curious what the rarity is, it's an epic. So the very first tower troop coming to the game is an epic. Alright guys, so here's all the stats for a level 15 Cannoneer. Remember, just like regular cards, tower troops need to be upgraded too, and level 15 is the max level. And don't worry, after this I'll compare it directly to the Princess Tower 2 so you can see side by side what the interaction differences are. So it has 3,792 hit points, it does 255 damage per second, 613 damage per shot, it has a 2.4 second hit speed, and it hits air and ground, and a 7.5 range. Alright guys, now I'll compare the Cannoneer to the Princess Tower, and just so there's no confusion, this is a level 11 Princess Tower, level 11 Cannoneer that the stats are for. So the Tower Princess has 3,052 health, whereas the Cannoneer only has 2,616, so it has 14% less health. As for the damage, the Princess deals 109 damage, the Cannoneer deals 422, which is a 3.87 times increase, which sounds pretty scary, but when you see the actual DPS and when you get to the hit speed, then it'll make more sense why. So the Princess is 1.25 hit speed, whereas the Cannoneer is only 0.42, which is very, very slow. You can see it has a third of the hit speed, and then the DPS is higher, the Cannoneer 176 compared to 136, but you know, it's a 29% increase, nothing massive, and then the range is the exact same. Now there is one important thing to keep in mind. Even though the Princess Tower and the Cannoneer have the same range, the Cannoneer has a different sight range than the Princess Tower, so I'll explain what this means so it makes sense, and there's also pictures to help you guys visualize it as well. The Cannoneer has a more narrow sight range than the Princess Tower. This is the range where the Cannoneer notices an enemy troop and starts shooting it. So they tested some placements using miners and goblin barrels to see which hitboxes were noticed and which weren't. And as you can see, these are the results, meaning there's an area where it doesn't have that sight range and notices where an enemy is, as you can see towards kind of the end of this circle. So basically there's a vertical boundary that limits the sight range, and it's slightly past the middle of the arena. It's worth noting though that once a troop is noticed within the sight, the Cannoneer will keep shooting as long as it remains in the shooting range, which is still the full circle. So here's another picture kind of to show you what I'm talking about, and this is sort of the area it's referring to, this vertical line. Now guys, before we get into some Cannoneer gameplay, let me first show you guys how you unlock the Cannoneer, because that's probably something a lot of you guys are wondering, and that's very important to know. So there's going to be new tower troop chests. As we discussed with the update blog, you can earn all the Tower Princess cards you need in your level up chest. But what about the other tower troops, you might ask? Well, the way it works is there's going to be a new kind of chest that's going to be added to your chest cycle called the Tower Troop chest. Well, that's a very fitting name, I would say. And these are added throughout your chest cycle. How many? So for level 13 kings, it will be one every 9 chests. And for level 14 plus kings, it will be one every 7 chests. So the higher the level you are, the more often you're going to be getting them. I don't really know if that makes sense or not, but that's just how it is. And this is a picture of what the chest looks like. And now you guys are probably wondering, well, how many cards are in each of the chests? So let's get into that now. First thing to note, though, is there is no unlock time. So as soon as you get the chest, you can open it. So that part is pretty cool, at least. How big are they? Well, these chests reach their maximum size after reaching Arena 15, which is 5,000 trophies, and they give you an average of 20 cards, so somewhere from 15 to 25. And then below that arena, chests will be a bit smaller, which of course is understandable, I guess. So just 20 common cards doesn't sound great. That's worse than a silver chest, but you do have a 25% chance to get an epic rarity chest. If the chest turns out to have epic rarity, you'll still get 20 cards on average, but the cards will be Cannoneers, which is the epic, instead of the Tower princesses, which are common. And as you can see here from this picture, this is an example of what it looks like here. The chest gets opened up and you get 21 Cannoneers, which, as I've already stated, it's an epic card. And now with that chest information, you guys might be wondering, how long will it take to max out a Cannoneer? So let's get into that. If you advance through the chest cycle consistently, you can expect to get around 15 Tower Troop chests per month. So that's going to be 4 chests with Cannoneer. That gives you around 80 Cannoneer cards per month. Given that you need 426 cards to max an epic, maxing Cannoneer could take around 6 months, which is a fairly long time. There might be other ways to earn them in the future to level them up faster, but that's just what you can expect for now from the chest cycle. The only drawback or minor inconvenience from this instant unlock system is that you'll often have to win an additional battle to fill all your chest slots. Looking at long-term progression, all these chests will be converted into elite wildcards. Given that they unlock instantly, they will boost the overall chest cycle rewards by around 3%. Alright guys, let's get into some gameplay now of the Cannoneer. So as you can see, against things like the Mega Minion, he's a lot better against because the Mega Minion doesn't get a single shot on the tower. Also, the Fire Spirit gets stopped right in its tracks. But against things like bats, he is significantly worse against, because remember, very, very slow fire rate, so swarms are going to give him a lot of trouble, as you're seeing right now. The Cannoneer does fully counter wall breakers, which is really nice because normally both will end up connecting if it's the Princess Tower. Now, it's supposed to be pretty good against beatdown things such as Golem, right? But as you can see, it fires so slow against the Golem that even though it's dealing more damage, it's not really taking it out much faster, because as you're about to see, the Golem is still going to end up taking the tower. So it kind of makes you ask the question, is it even worth using the Cannoneer if it's not even that much better against beatdown units such as the Golem? And now you see the Giant, because I want to show you guys another example that the Giant, it's kind of the same way. It's still going to end up taking the tower just like how it takes out the Princess Tower. And I think the biggest issue is the fact that the Cannoneer has less health. So I think the Cannoneer should probably have the same health as the Princess Tower if they want to make it on par. Otherwise, it's just worse. Alright guys, let's see what some other people are saying and see if other people agree with me that the Cannoneer doesn't seem that good compared to the Princess Tower. The game is about to change a lot. I agree with that, especially as we get more tower troops. I feel like it would need a hit speed buff because even 1 elixir skeletons hit the tower, so even skeletons are able to get damage against the Cannoneer. Adding stuff no one asked for is crazy. Yikes, worst art ever. Well, it's Clash Royale community, so negativity as you'd expect. Maybe this will make the game more like rock, paper, scissors, but to be honest, after they introduced the evolved troops, defending became much harder. I hope tower troops is the way they can buff towers so that we can counter evolutions easier. That's an interesting perspective. Cannoneer doesn't seem broken. We may be on the right track. So this guy here is predicting it's going to be good against Bridge Spam and Beatdown, but it's going to be really bad against Graveyard and Spam. Has potential, just needs a speed buff and maybe a little bit of a damage nerf. Horrible idea, Supercell. It can't stop 1 elixir skeletons from hitting the tower. They were not cooking. And someone said from OJ's video it looked like it was pretty bad as well. And I ultimately agreed, but I don't mind it starting out on the weaker end because I think more people would have complained if it was extremely broken and better than the Princess Tower. Well, that's all you need to know about the first tower troop. Consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed.